Hey, welcome to Past and Paradox.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here. We're John and Sarah, and today we're diving into a story that's been talked about all over the world.
It's one of those cases that makes you stop and think about power, influence, and how the world really works.
Honestly, it's wild when you start putting all the pieces together, but don't worry, we'll walk through it carefully.
Exactly. No graphic stuff, just the facts and the bigger picture. So grab a seat, relax, and let's jump in. This is one of the most talked about criminal cases in modern history.
Not because of dramatic details, but because of what it revealed about power, influence, and the justice system.
Even years later, people still ask the same question. How did this happen for so long without intervention?
And why are there still so many unanswered questions?
Jeffrey Epstein was an American businessman and financier who gained prominence in the late 20th century.
He called himself an investment manager, but a lot about his financial work was mysterious.
But everyone saw the lifestyle: luxury homes, private jets, even a private island.
And all the famous people he knew. Politicians, business leaders, scientists, basically a huge network that made him seem untouchable.
That network shaped public perception. If someone that connected, people tend to assume they're legitimate.
And that assumption helped him avoid scrutiny for years.
Yeah, it's wild how social perception can give someone protection like that.
Early 2000s, concerns started to surface. Multiple people reported patterns of bad behavior.
And it wasn't just one report. Several independent accounts appeared over time.
Which is why authorities started looking into him, but progress was slow.
Part of that was his legal resources and connections. Plus, cases like this are tricky when the accused is rich and powerful.
By 2008, it led to a plea deal in Florida. That's where a lot of confusion and controversy started.
A lot of people couldn't believe the leniency of that deal when it became public years later.
It definitely shaped the narrative that wealth and influence can change legal outcomes.
Definitely shaped the narrative that wealth and influence can change legal outcomes.
One of the biggest reasons people care is it showed how power can affect justice.
That 2008 deal meant Epstein avoided federal charges and had a very short sentence.
And when the details came out later, public outrage followed.
It wasn't just about one person. It was about the system and how victims can be affected when influential people are involved.
The case became symbolic of unequal treatment under the law.
And it sparked conversations about accountability and transparency that continue today.
One of the most confusing things was how Epstein seemed to dodge serious consequences for so long.
Totally. And the 2008 plea deal didn't help. Most people didn't know it existed until years later.
Many victims weren't informed at the time, which added to the frustration.
Then, in 2019, he was arrested again on federal charges.
This time, the case got serious media attention.
And then, while awaiting trial, he died in custody.
Yeah, that raised a ton of questions, not about the details of the death, but about jail procedures, monitoring, and whether things could have been handled better.
Exactly. Even small mistakes in oversight can become a huge deal when the case is high profile.
And the lack of clarity just fueled speculation. People were confused, anxious, and searching for answers that weren't fully public.
Beyond Epstein, a lot of attention went to institutions, law enforcement, prosecutors, and the prison system.
Yeah, the 2008 plea deal was re-examined, and so was the way the federal system handled him in 2019.
Journalists uncovered internal communications showing gaps in oversight.
Those gaps became a major talking point. Why weren't better procedures in place for someone under such scrutiny?
Exactly. It sparked debates about how institutions deal with high-profile defendants and how victims' voices are considered.
Some reforms were suggested, like improving victim notification and strengthening monitoring systems.
It was a wake-up call in a lot of ways.
The media really shaped how the public understood the case.
Before investigative reporting brought it back into the spotlight, it was a story most people hadn't followed closely.
Once new details came out, it became unavoidable. News outlets, documentaries, public discussions everywhere.
And while the coverage helped accountability, it also meant misinformation could spread alongside facts.
Exactly, which is why it's important to focus on verified information and explain it clearly, like we're doing here.
It also shows the power of journalism in keeping powerful people in check.
Even years later, this case still comes up in discussions about justice and fairness.
It's not just about one person, it's about how systems handle people with influence and power.
And it really makes you think about how victims are treated when high-profile individuals are involved.
The Maxwell trial showed that some accountability did happen.
But there are still questions about others who might have enabled Epstein. It's shocking how much is still unknown.
And that's part of why people keep talking about it. It's not just curiosity, it's about understanding how the world works behind the scenes.
It's also a reminder that transparency and oversight matter, even decades after the events.
Yeah, it makes you realize how important it is to question systems and pay attention when something doesn't seem right.
Looking at the Epstein case as a whole, it's more than a story about one person. It's about power, responsibility, and accountability.
Even though he's no longer alive, the lessons from the case still matter today.
It's also about listening to victims and making sure institutions do what they're supposed to do.
Right, and it shows how wealth and influence can affect outcomes, for better or worse.
Exactly. That's why we're still talking about it years later.
So here's the question for you. Why do you think this case still raises so many questions?
Yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Next time, we'll dive into another story that's full of twists and lessons from history. Don't miss it.
See you then.